What am I mad about when I see these other churches growing and thriving? I'm mad that they're doing the very thing I want to see God do in my church. God put this crazy idea and desire to plant a church in Tampa, Florida on our heart. And I shared it with Erin, and she was like, yeah, I think it's exactly what we're called to do. And luckily for us, we went through a great organization. I think probably the greatest church planting organization in the world with ARC, and it stands for the Association of Related Churches. And they equipped us and trained us and got us ready to plant a life-giving church. We packed it up and moved out in December of 2013, 3 days after Christmas, and began the journey like, all right, we're gonna plant a church and we're gonna meet people that we don't know anybody here, and they're gonna wanna do this crazy thing with us. We had seen these crazy things, like a buddy of mine in Orlando, who's one of our overseers, man, they launched with like 700 people on the first Sunday. I'm thinking, here we go, September 14th, 2014, we are gonna be that church. And as I stood outside and watched, I went, not as many people coming in the building as I thought would. And I kind of had a track of that number and kind of looking at it, and only 162 people showed up, including kids, and I'm disappointed, and I'm upset, and I'm mad that it didn't look like how I thought it would. And that's really where our story is, the heart behind it, is what do you do when the dream God puts on your heart doesn't look like you thought it would? Like, I'm thinking, man, we're gonna have all these people show up, and we're gonna be a healthy, thriving church right out of the gate, and we're gonna begin to impact our city. And 162 people, including kids, is amazing. There are churches that would love to see God move like that, and I'm mad and I'm disappointed, and it shows on my face. And it shows when I'm up there doing the first part of the service, welcoming people, that I'm frustrated. And I'm getting out of that service and I'm going, well, God, why didn't you do what you were supposed to do? Why didn't you show up like I thought you would show up? Why didn't you bring the massive crowds like my buddy in Orlando had, or all these other churches had? Why didn't we get to see the 300s, the 400s, the 500 people show up? We get 162. And that's where I began this battle. I'm looking at every other church on Instagram, every other church on social media. They had this many people in attendance, this many people getting saved. And I'm going, well, why are you doing it there, but you're not doing it here? And I began to go, we're not doing something right. We must not be saying the right things or doing the right programs or offering the right things. And I played this big comparison game with every other church, and it began to eat at me every week, every day. And I began to lose all my joy, and it trapped me inside of this prison of playing the comparison game. God really looked at me and said, Matt, why are you trying to pastor all these other churches? Like, I didn't call you to pastor their church. So what are you mad about? I'm mad that people are coming to their church and getting saved and having their life transformed. Like, what sense does that make as pastors sometimes that we do that? We're going, I'm so mad that your church is doing well. I can't believe you're thriving and God's blessing and people's lives are getting changed. I want God to do that in my church. And so the flip had to change. I began to go, God, I'm so grateful for what you're doing. But that wasn't an easy thing. I'm not after a crowd, I'm after seeing a city get transformed for Jesus. And so I think that became part of the big shift, was quit comparing and celebrate. Instead, going, man, I want to celebrate church in our area because we need each other. It's going to take every life-giving, gospel-preaching church in Tampa doing their best so that we can see the city transformed. It's not about Limitless Church, it's not about any other church, it's about the church. There are more pastors quitting the ministry every year than ever before. And they're walking away from it, from the stress and from the anxieties and all the things that just weigh them down. They're like, it's just not worth it to my health and to my family to go through this, doing the thing that should bring you the most joy, which is serving the Lord. And you know, he said that's what he wants. He wants all of you guys to just quit. We had a family that moved with us from Wilmington to help us start the church. We had another random family move from up north that found us on a website to come help us do the church, and other people who had joined in that we had just met here, and there was excitement. And there's a reason they call it a launch team. And I was like, they didn't even stay, you know, and it got hard. All of us experienced a lot of hardship in that first year of the church. You know, I thought, man, we're gonna be able to thrive, and I had to go get a second job. I'm working at the YMCA at the front desk on top of pastoring a church. I'm like, God, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to pastor a church. I didn't want to have to work at the YMCA, and it was humbling. I'm making minimum wage just to help pay the bills for our family because the church wasn't making budget. We quit playing the comparison game. You know, for Erin it was, well, what is every other pastor's wife doing? And how am I supposed to be? And for me it was, what is every other church doing and every other pastor doing? And finally we said, okay, God, what are you doing? What are you doing here in Tampa? What are you doing in our church? What are you doing in us? And that's been the biggest change, that we're able to say, God, thank you that we get to be the pastors of Limitless Church. I got that text from a dad who went, I was able to have an amazing conversation with my son in the car, and we had a Me Too moment. Thanks for providing that place. You're getting testimonies of, I invited my dad to church and he came for the first time, or hey, my roommate got saved. All of that stuff, when you focus on that, you go, wow, look what God's doing, and it changes your perspective.